Hello students, how are you? Today we are going to start our next chapter, that is lesson 10th, The Banyan Tree by Ruskin Pond. Though the house and the grounds belonged to my grandparents, the magnificent old banyan tree was mine, chiefly because grandfather at 65 could no longer climb it. Its spreading branches, which hung to the ground and took the root again, forming a number of twisting passages, gave me the endless pleasure. Among them were the squirrels and the snails and the butterflies. The tree was older than the house, older than the grandfather, as old as Dehradun itself. I could hide myself in its branches, behind thick green leaves, and spy on the world below. My first friend was a small grey squirrel, arching his back and sniffing into the air. He seemed at first to resent my invasion of his privacy. But we found that I didn't arm myself with a cutlass or air gun. He became friendly. And when I started bringing him a piece of cake and biscuit, he grew quite bold and was soon taken morsel from hands. Before long, he was delving from into my pocket and helping himself to whatever he could. He was a young squirrel, and his friends and relatives probably thought him foolish and headfirst for trusting a human. In the spring, when the banyan tree was full of the small red figs, birds of all kinds would flock into its branches. The red bottom, the cheerful and greedy parrots, myna, and crows. During the fig season, the banyan tree was the noisiest place in the garden. Halfway up the tree, I had built a crude platform where I would spend my afternoons when it was not too hot. I could read there, propping myself up against a tree with a cushion from the living room's Treasure Island. Huckleberry and the Story of Dr. Dolittle were some of the books that made my banyan tree library. When I did not feel like reading, I could look down through the leaves at the world below. And one particular afternoon, I had a great sun view of that classic of an Indian wilds, a fight between a mongoose and a cobra. The warm breeze of approaching summer had sent anyone, including the gardener, into the house. I was feeling drowsy myself, wondering if I should go onto the pond and have a swim with Ramu and the buffaloes, when I saw a huge black cobra gliding out of a clump of cactus. At the time, a mongoose emerging from the bushes. In a clearing beneath the banyan tree, in the bright sunshine, they came face to face. The cobra knew only too well that the grey mongoose, 3 feet long, was a superb fighter, clever, aggressive. But Cobra too was a skillful and experienced fighter. He could move swiftly and strike with a high speed, and the sacs behind his long, sharp fangs were fully of the deadly poison. It was a battle of the champions, hissing defiance, his forked tongue darting in and out. The cobra reached 3 of his 6 feet off the ground and spreading his broader spectral hood. The mongoose pushed his tail, and the long hair on his spine stood up, though the combatants were unaware of the presence in the tree. They were soon made aware of the arrival of two other spectres. One was a myna, and the other a jungle crow. They had seen these preparations for the battle and had settled on the cactus to watch the outcome. Had they been content only to watch, or all would have been well with both of them. The cobra stood on the defensive, swaying slowly from side to side, trying to mesmerizing the mongoose into making a false move. But the mongoose knew the power of his opponent like sea unwinkingly eyes and refused to meet him. Instead, he fixed his gaze at the point just below the cobra's hood and opened the attack, moving forward quickly until he was just within. The mongoose made the pretended move to one side. Immediately, the cobra struck. His great hood came down so swiftly that I thought nothing could save the mongoose. But the little fellow jumped nearly to one side and darting it as swiftly as the cobra, biting the snake on the back and darting away again. At the same moment, the cobra struck. The crow and the myna hurled themselves at them. Only the coward lay in the middle, shaking insulter. They returned to the cactus plant. A few drops of blood glistened on the cobra's back. The cobra struck and missed. Again, the mongoose sprang aside, jumped in, and bit. Again, the bird dived at the snake, bumped into each other, and returned shrieking to safety at the cactus. The third round followed the same course as the first, but with one dramatic difference. The crow and the myna, still determined to take the part in the proceedings, dived, but this time they missed each other as well as their marks. The myna flew on and reached its perch, but the crow tried to pull up in the mid-air and turn back. In the second that it took the bird to this, the cobra whipped his head back and struck with a force, his snout thudding against the crow's body. I saw the bird flung near 20 feet across the garden. It fluttered about for a while, then lay still. The myna remained on the cactus plant. When the snake and the mongoose returned to the fight, were wisely decided not to interfere again. The cobra was weakening, and the mongoose, walking fearlessly up to it, raised himself on his short leg with a lightning snap and the big snake by the snout. The cobra writhed and lashed about in frightening manner, and even collapsed itself above the mongoose, but to no avail. The little fellow hung grimly on until the snake had ceased to the struggle. He then smelled along its curling length, gripping it round the hood and dragged it into the bushes. The myna dropped cautionally to the ground, hopped about it, peered into the bushes from a distance, and then, with a shrill cry of congratulations, flew away. I hope the chapter is clear to you. Thank you.